to talk about Meghan Markle, because she's in the Sun today, pausing her jam firm in case it gets annoying. Apparently, some kind of reality has set in. Angela, very good morning to you.
Good morning.
She thinks she might be annoying.
She thinks people might be annoying.
Yeah.
Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, storming out of the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles' glitzy Night of Wonder Gala. Why? Because John Stewart, that John Stewart decided to dismantle her shiny new advocacy award on national television.
She was talking about to Tina Knowles, the mother of Beyonce. It was her last podcast. Last week was her last podcast, but this week she decided to do another one, so it's the last one but plus.
Calling it a participation trophy for celebrity activism. And when the host refused to address her as Duchess, the tension snapped like a brittle tiara. This is not just a night of wonder. It is a night of blunder, and the fallout is shaking the foundations of her post-royal reinvention.
I think so. It's been a disaster, actually, but she keeps calling herself a businesswoman, and she hasn't, because it's all fallen down. And she's there on her own trying to do it, she pretends.
So let's rewind and unpack this mess, because if you thought the royal family had seen it all, you have not seen angry Meghan walk out on a $250,000 a table event. It all started with the gala itself, a lavish affair set for June 14th, where the museum promised an enchanted garden vibe complete with live music and a dinner that probably cost more per plate than most of us earn in a month.
Help her in her house she was renting. So, you can't believe a word she said, I'm afraid.
No, it's not very...
Tickets, a cool $1,500 just to get in the door, with sponsorship. Tables soaring to $250,000. The guest of honor? Meghan Markle, poised to receive an award for her so-called advocacy for women and underserved communities. On paper, it sounds noble empowerment, equity, all the buzzwords you would expect from a glossy press release. But here's where the pause button hits. What exactly has she done to earn it?
This bonus episode itself with Tina Knowles, it was a bit of a departure from earlier episodes in that it had a lot more showbiz flair to it. Of course, it's Beyonce's mum. Do we think that this is what we're going to see more of moving forward with Meghan's podcast, or do you think that this was just going out with a bang?
We are not talking about someone who has spent years in the trenches, building schools or feeding the hungry. No, this is a woman whose resume leans heavily on Netflix. Deals that fizzled, a podcast that flopped, and Instagram posts so curated they could be framed in a gallery. Advocacy, more like a branding exercise, and the public is starting to notice the gap.
To an end, and then we got this announcement that there was going to be this extra episode featuring what did she call her, the matriarch and the mom mogul. I think she called Tina Knowles, and she made it very clear that Tina Knowles had picked up the phone to her.
Yes, I picked up on that.
Let's talk about that award for a moment. The Natural History Museum, an institution once revered for celebrating science and discovery, decided to pivot too. Hollywood clout, they are honoring Meghan for, something vague about community, well-being, and expanding opportunity. But where are the receipts? Where is the list of projects? The measurable impact? The change that is not just a soundbite? The museum's patron serious folks who care about fossils and fieldwork are scratching their heads, wondering why they are funding a red carpet spectacle instead of a dinosaur exhibit.
Down a call like that, you pick up the phone and then you do this episode. Actually, I thought this was one of the most interesting episodes in the series, because Tina Knowles has a really, really interesting story to tell about launching her own hair care business, about going into business with her daughter Beyonce, about managing.
And then John Stewart stepped into the ring on his latest show. He did not hold back with that deadpan delivery we all know too well. He tore into the gala, calling it a standing ovation for showing up. The audience roared with laughter, social media exploded, and suddenly, this was not a celebration. It was a meme, a $250,000 meme, no less, but the real fireworks came at the gala itself. Sources say Meghan arrived expecting a triumphant night, ready to deliver a speech packed with inspirational platitudes. Equity this. healing that hoping to reset her narrative after years of mixed reviews. Instead, she walked into a buzzsaw. The host, sticking to protocol or perhaps a bit of mischief, refused to call her Duchess. In royal circles, titles matter, and this slight was a slap in the face. Then came the whispers, donors questioning the award's merit, guests snickering about Stewart's roast, and the weight of expectation crashing down. Meghan, they say, snapped. She reportedly stood, glared at the room, and marched out, leaving her team scrambling and the event teetering on the edge of chaos. It is the kind of exit that would make a drama queen proud, except this time, the script was not hers to control. Now, let's be honest, this is not a one-off stumble. Since stepping back from royal life, Meghan and Harry have collected awards. Like they are trading cards, humanitarian honors, influential lists, global summit appearances. But peel back the glitter and it is all smoke and mirrors. Their Arkawell Foundation? Quiet on the success front, the Spotify deal? Terminated after one season, Netflix projects, barely a ripple. And yet, the accolades keep coming, handed out by organizations more interested in their celebrity than their contribution. This gala fits the pattern, a transactional moment where the museum gets headlines and Meghan gets a win, except the public is not buying it anymore. The ticket prices alone $1,500 for a seat, $250,000 for a table scream networking party for the elite, not a tribute to grassroots work. And that disconnect is what is fueling the backlash. Social media, of course, is having a field day. Comments flood in, some call it the Night of Blunder, others mock the museum for trading credibility for Instagram likes. Even cultural commentators, not just tabloid trolls, are asking why a scientific institution is hosting a celebrity pep rally. Museum staffers, we hear, feel blindsided, wondering when their mission shifted from conservation to cloud chasing. And Meghan's team silent as a Buckingham Palace guard. No statements, no clarifications, just a void that screams they might know this is not the triumph they planned. That silence is louder than any press release could be, hinting at a strategy unraveling faster than a poorly stitched gown. But let's dig deeper. This gala was supposed to be Meghan's big reset, a chance to rebrand as a serious public figure after years of perception battles. Her recent podcast bonus episode, featuring Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's mom, was meant to tie it all together with talk of family resilience and empowerment. Glossy, rehearsed, and dripping with name drops, it had all the ingredients for a comeback. Except the timing was off. Released just as the gala backlash brewed, it felt like noise rather than narrative, leaving listeners skeptical rather than inspired. And now, with Stewart's roast and her dramatic exit, the image she has built, part inspiration, part illusion, is cracking under the weight of its own ambition. The climax of this saga, though, is not just Meghan's walkout, it is the broader question. It raises, celebrity activism has long walked a thin line, but this feels like a tipping point. Awards once reserved for merit are now optics games, handed to those with fame and to good PR team. The museum, by chasing Hollywood, risks its reputation. Meghan, by accepting without substance, risks her credibility. And the public, tired of performative gestures, is calling it out. From late-night hosts piling onto Twitter threads dissecting every move, the joke writes itself. A museum of natural wonders giving an award to someone known more for brand deals than breakthroughs. So, what is next? Meghan's inner circle is likely in damage control mode, plotting a spin, maybe a heartfelt essay, a surprise grassroots appearance, anything to shift the optics. But credibility is not won with rebrands. It is earned with work. The path forward is simple, if not easy. Pick a cause, commit long-term, and let results speak. Not 6 months, not one podcast season, decades. The public does not hate her. They are just exhausted by the disconnect between her words and her actions. A $1,500 a plate gala and luxury podcast studios do not scream equity, they scream privilege. And in 2025, when skepticism reigns, that contrast wears thin. This is not the end of Meghan Markle's story. There was a time when her royal exit felt bold, a chance for a legacy built on her terms. People were curious, even hopeful, but that hope is curdling into confusion, and this gala mess has amplified it. She is not the first to chase platforms over purpose, and she will not be the last, but whether she breaks free or stays stuck depends on what she does next. The criticism is loud, yes, but buried in it is a chance people want to believe, want her to succeed. They are waiting for the Meghan who steps up, not just shows up. Not dressed for the camera, but ready to get things done. Until then, the world watches, the laughter echoes, and the question lingers. What exactly does she do, and why do we keep giving her awards for it?